Welcome back. This is part 2 of my conversation with Carol, picking up right where we left off. If you are just joining us, I highly recommend going back to listen to part 1, where Carol vulnerably shared the heartbreaking story of losing her son, Tony. In this episode, we continue Carol's incredible journey, focusing on her path towards healing and how, remarkably, golf became a lifeline for her. Get ready to hear an inspiring story of resilience and finding hope after devastating, unspeakable loss. Let's dive back in. This is Nothing Happens for a Reason. Okay, so he said, get up, we're going golfing. What you said, what?
Fuck no.
Yeah. Fuck no. Yeah.
Can't even hold my hands straight, right? Like, fucking golf course. And like golf, like, what do I have in common with people that are on a golf course, right? And I swung that club and I hit that ball and it landed this close to the cup. I felt like this sense of accomplishment when I connected with that ball. And I hadn't felt that in such a long time. And I know it sounds silly, like how could a golf course change your life, right? But that day actually saved my life and changed it forever. So I connected with that ball. I felt a sense of accomplishment. And for a few moments, I didn't feel my grief the same way. I didn't feel that aching pain in my heart. Yeah. And you know, for those of you that don't know, on the golf course, it's very serene. It's very peaceful. And I didn't know how well I hit the ball when I connected. So we're walking through the golf course, and I'm feeling this serenity that I hadn't felt in so long and this sense of accomplishment because I hit the ball. And we get up there, and I see how close it is. And I remember just looking up and saying, okay, Tony, I'm going to be okay. I really felt like he was with me in that moment, and it was that spiritual experience of him kind of guiding that moment and presenting it for me in a way that was like, okay, Mom, I'm okay. You can be okay.
How different did that feel on the golf course, looking up, saying the words, I'm going to be okay? How did that feel different from when you were laying with him before he took his last breath, saying, I'm going to be okay?
Really great question. Yeah. I believed it. I believed that I was going to be okay.
Wow.
Was I okay completely in that moment? No, but I remember feeling like a sense of hope. And hope is a huge part of my story because if I didn't have hope, I'm not sure I would have made it through that.
Yeah.
I found hope on that golf course that day. I tell people all the time that golf saved my life. Yeah. It really did save my life. It was the most amazing thing. It gave me purpose, which is something I had none of. And I really believe I do a lot of grief work with clients, and I really believe that's a big part of our work is to try, through the healing process, have purpose. Again, have some type of purpose. And for me that day, I found it on the golf course. And, you know, people ask me all the time, like, is that when you started, like, really playing all the time? And the answer to that question is yes. Yeah, I started going to the driving range. I would just go just to feel. And in looking back and telling the story, I wonder if I felt a sense of closeness to Tony, and that's what the draw was. But I remember spending a lot of time on the golf course and playing golf and feeling a lot of purpose around that. And most importantly, feeling connection and feeling some sense of success.
Yeah.
That I hadn't felt in a really long time. Because even though I found purpose on the golf course and I started to walk through my grief, there were still a lot of really hard moments living down there and seeing his friends grow up and knowing that Tony wasn't going to be growing up was so fucking hard.
Yeah.
It was so painful. And yes, I was getting out. Yes, I was doing more things. But I kind of feel like what you were feeling. Like at times I would be in social situations and I would be there, but I wasn't there inside, right? Like that kind of that isolation that you feel inside in a group of people. I had that a lot, especially, you're around other people and they have kids and they're talking about their kids. I eventually had to give up my friends that had kids that grew up with Tony because it was too painful. And now we didn't have that in common.
Right.
Right. So I wasn't part of the moms group anymore. And that was really hard. Yeah. So recovery was happening. It was happening slow and it was hard and it was messy. I still had a lot of anxiety and some panic attacks and, I'd learned some coping skills so I didn't have to medicate it.
Yeah.
But I would have that anxiety where I couldn't do anything. Yes, on one hand, golf saved my life and I was engaging in life again, but that doesn't mean that the grief is gone.
Right. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the thing. It's a process.
It transitioned to something different.
Yeah. And there were moments of pleasure and there were moments of good things, but there were also still moments of a lot of darkness.
Lots of different pain.
And it changes. So what I learned about my own personal grief is that it changed as I changed. Knowing that, I made a life-changing decision to pack up everything I owned, which, by the way, was not very much at that point, which that's okay.
Yeah.
Stuff and things, they don't matter.
Yeah.
And I made that decision to pack up my car and come up here to the Pacific Northwest and join my family, who, remember, I had a lot of resentment towards.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what was the reason for doing that when it was complicated relationships?
Yeah. Well, I had this opportunity where I was in a pretty bad relationship, and that's a whole different podcast.
Maybe it's a part 2.
Yeah, when you're grieving and you have a lot of trauma in your life, you don't make the best decisions. And that was one that wasn't great, and I needed to make some changes. And I just like the golf course experience, I just said, okay, I'm going to do it. I was asked to move up there, and I said, I'm just going to do it.
Was there any part of you that felt like with the physical move you were leaving him behind?
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up. Because when my parents and everyone came up to Portland area, they wanted me to come as well. They bothered me all the time about it. Not bothered me, but would suggest it often. And I was like, are you crazy? I'm not going to leave my son's home. My son's ashes were in the ocean there. My son's favorite restaurant, like all of that. I felt such a connection to Orange County.
Yeah.
And I was never going to leave it. Ever. That's what I thought. And I wasn't able to heal down there. I wasn't able to really begin that healing journey that I know I needed to go on because I was so stuck in what could have been.
Yeah.
And being stuck in what could have been doesn't make room in your life for what could be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I made the incredibly hard decision. And my niece found me an apartment, and I didn't see it prior. And this is another thing, like following your heart or doing things, stepping outside your comfort zone and trying different things. So I walk in my apartment and I open the door, and it's the most beautiful apartment. And it has this incredible view of this river, and I could hear the water, which I love water. And I could hear the water, and I felt instantly in my heart like I made the right decision. And I felt like I was home. And I remember telling her, I started crying. And I remember telling her that I think it's going to be okay.
Wow.
I think this feels okay.
Yeah, I love the narrative theme amongst, again, laying with Tony, to the golf course, I'm going to be okay, to environmental changes of this is going to be okay. Mm-hmm. A little bit different and broader than just I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
This is going to be okay.
And thank you for weaving that together so beautifully for me. Because, it was that sense of, it's truly how I feel. I'm not just saying that because people need to hear it or I need to hear it. Like, it truly felt that way in my heart. And that opened the door to many different things. From my neighbor across the way being in recovery, not even knowing it, right? Like, I moved next door to somebody in recovery.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right?
So needed, yeah.
Right? And so we had an instant connection, and we're still best friends to this day. And that was 15 years ago. And so moving next to her and feeling that, and then meeting my now husband like 2 months after I moved to Oregon.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
You met only 2 months after you moved here.
Yeah, 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And he is completely different than anybody I've ever dated. Dated, I guess. Yeah. It doesn't feel like dating anymore because he's such a soulmate. But, that moving into healing and saying, I'm going to be okay and this is going to be okay. And then now saying, okay, I want to be in a relationship with somebody that's okay. That is also a good person.
Yeah.
And allowing myself to feel that love again. Yeah. I remember one time, I told him, I said, you make me laugh again. I'm happy again. I'm loving again. And it felt so foreign and also so exaggerated. I don't know if you can relate to that, but just when you begin to feel again, and it's not just the pain you're feeling, but you can also feel the love and the happiness. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I remember maybe even with you, when I met you, 12 years ago? It's been a while.
Yeah.
And
11, 12, yeah.
And you're like, you're always so happy. And I, and I think I've said this to you. I say it to a lot of people. I'm happy because I don't want to be miserable, right? I'm happy because I'm able to step into my life now and see the beauty. And I remember being from Orange County and now living in the Pacific Northwest. I remember seeing the Mount Hood for the first time, right? With puffy clouds in the sky. And I remember going, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Like, everything felt amazing.
Yeah.
In a way that I hadn't felt in so many years.
Felt new.
It felt new. Yeah, it felt really new. Yeah, and, I went to work for my sister, and, it was okay, but working with family isn't always great. And I was going through the want ads. I think back then it was a newspaper. I can't remember exactly, but I don't think it was a computer. And I saw an ad for a assistant to a program manager of a addiction treatment program. And I'm like, I don't have any experience, but shoot, I'll give it a try, right? I'll go for the interview. And I remember being really nervous because I wasn't qualified. But I really wanted it. I thought it was something I really needed. Anyway, I go for the interview, and she hired me, and I was like, wow, okay, another success.
Yeah.
Another stepping outside my comfort zone. And I think all of these successes, all of these little steps outside my comfort zone, and me not completely being destroyed, gave me this sense of confidence that I lacked, to be quite honest with you. I walked the world in my grief with zero confidence and zero self-esteem. And so these I'm going to say little, but they weren't little. They were really huge.
Yeah.
Things that I was experiencing gave me a sense of accomplishment that I really needed to help me heal. I'm not going to say like, oh, it was all done. I'm all finished grieving.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you all that that's the way it goes, but unfortunately it doesn't, right? You know, it stays with us forever. And there's reminders. And there were reminders back then. You know, there's his death day, there's his birthday, there's Mother's Day, there's Christmas, Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, the sun is shining.
Yes.
It's raining.
It's raining, right?
I want to share a story, may I?
Yeah, please.
So I couldn't have a Christmas tree because Christmas is very traumatic because that's when he was really in his final days. He died on January 28th, 2004. And so Christmas was very traumatizing. And I didn't have a Christmas tree for a really long time. And I met Ron and, you know, I had my own place, but never had a Christmas tree. And really Christmas was a hard holiday for me. Hard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to celebrate it hard. And I think it was 5 years after I moved to the Pacific Northwest, I said, okay, I think I'm ready to get a Christmas tree. And so my best friend that lived across the hallway from me and my now husband, we went to this Christmas tree lot to get a Christmas tree. Can't make this shit up.
I can't wait.
So I go to this Christmas tree lot and I see it says all proceeds go to children's cancer. And I'm like, okay.
I can get behind getting a tree now.
Yes, I really am all in on the tree.
Yeah. I'll buy 10.
Yes, exactly. And I remember feeling like, oh, wow, this is weird. And so my boyfriend and my friend said, this is weird. And so I went up to the person and I said, so tell me a little bit about children's cancer. And can't make this shit up. He goes, the gal that her father runs this Christmas tree lot, her son died of brainstem glioma.
Oh, I just got chills.
The same rare cancer that my son died of. My very first Christmas tree.
Wow, Carol.
Brainstem glioma, by the way, of all the children's cancer, it's 0.05%. It's the rarest form of cancer.
0.05. Wow.
At that time, it was like 250 cases in the United States a year, which pissed me off.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So to be standing on a Christmas tree lot that supports children's cancer, dedicated to a mother and her son who died from the exact same rare form of cancer.
Did you ever meet her?
I did. She was there. Yeah, she came out. She was not great, and she was not in a great place.
Oh, I was like, what do you mean? You're like, she was a bitch.
And I would understand that, by the way.
Totally.
Great, you're a bitch. I get it. I get it. You hate the world. I get that too. Like you hate me. I get that too. I started bawling. I shared my story. She started bawling. My friend was bawling. My boyfriend was bawling. It was such an amazing moment because not only was I getting a tree for the very first time, but I'm supporting this mother who went through the same thing. And I really felt again that Tony was in my life. And I say that because, I think he's in my life every single day in the work that I do.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But yeah, it was such an amazing moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 Wow. I know for me, when I've encountered people who have their own grief experience, and then especially ones that very much parallel things, at least early on, I would feel this almost like desperation of connecting with them because again, grief is so lonely, and to find somebody who has a similar lived experience, it felt like a breath of fresh air, while also being like, I need this person in my life, because it almost felt like, a lifesaver being thrown out when you're just like treading or drowning in water. And so I'm sitting here, and I don't know how you felt about it, but imagining if I were in that position of you, it would just feel like this deep connection with somebody that you just met.
Right.
For having something so similar, especially with such a rare form of cancer.
And knowing, like, playing in my head, oh, she went through the same thing, brain stem cancer, like they stop talking, they stop hearing, they stop seeing, they stop walking, like knowing she went through all of that as well, and how painful that process is. Like seeing her and knowing she went through the exact same thing that I went through.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah, it was, I think coming to the Northwest, Pacific Northwest, for me, I think it truly was the thing that I needed to do for myself, for him, for Tony, it opened so much up for me. And, working in getting that job in treatment and having that spark of, oh gosh, this is really cool. I want to do this. And then making that next step and going and interviewing us and just having that happen again for me, stepping out of the comfort zone, stepping out of my little box and saying, okay, I'm going to take this risk, walking in and getting that job that changed my life radically and changed who I was once again. And that's the other thing about grief. It changes you in so many ways throughout the process too. Like my identity and what I loved and what meant the most to me also changed as I changed.
Yeah.
Like I was stuck in my grief down in Orange County. When I came up here, I was able to step through it a little bit differently. I think that's a thing people think. Like, okay, I lost someone, I'm grieving. Now, when is the end?
Yes.
You probably hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, when is this going to end? I've been grieving for 2 years. Like, aren't I supposed to be done? I think a lot of people feel that. And the truth is you're never done.
Never done. Yeah. I think that's one of sometimes the hardest things to share with people, as well as sometimes the most validating thing to share with people. Because, so often there is this, especially again in at least this society, that there is supposed to be like an end point, and the very misunderstood stages of grief, and people think, oh, you get to acceptance and you're just done. And so maybe somebody who's earlier in their grief hearing that, it feels like, well, fuck, that sucks. I don't want this to be forever. But being able to offer that to somebody who, I've worked with people who their grief is 40 years old. They've never touched it, because we do not live in a world that people are comfortable, even therapists. Majority of therapists, at least from my experience, are not comfortable with grief and loss and death. And so people don't talk about it. And so people have so much shame around, well, this is so old. Why would I still be feeling it? And I'm just going to keep burying it. But unresolved or just even buried grief, even, in the 10 years that I've been a therapist, brings out the most raw emotion out of any other topic that I've worked with before. And then it just speaks to, I think, the need to have more conversations like this.
Absolutely.
And there's not an end point. And again, it changes and evolves.
Yeah. And so do you, right? Like for me, like if you look at me today versus who I was in that process, or even who I was before that process. Like who I am today is like you probably wouldn't even recognize me.
Right.
And, that doesn't happen for everyone. So I also don't want to make it sound like, oh, yeah, I just need to go to the golf course and hit a ball and my life is going to change, or move and my life is going to change, right? It doesn't always happen the same for everyone. And I think that's another thing that I hear a lot, is that I'm not doing my grief right.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so tell me the right way.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I did it right either.
Is there a right way?
There is
right.
not a right or a wrong way.
Not a right or wrong way.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah. And I think what is so important about, this conversation in this episode is, like, what was the best advice you got in your grief? And for you, it was get off your ass and come to the golf course with me, right?
Yeah.
And for me, when people have asked me the best advice I ever got in my grief, it was get a dog.
Oh, yes.
That was,
love that.
That was the best advice.
I remember that.
And for me, and it's kind of similar of how you, I think, initially responded about going to the golf course. But I remember my reaction was, it was suggested to me before my mom died, but she was in the dying process. And my first reaction was, you're crazy, because I'm not going to be able to take care of myself, let alone a dog. Like, that's the worst advice you could give me. And I remember my friend at the time looked at me and said, that's the point. That's exactly the point of why I'm suggesting this. It's a reason for you to get out of bed every day. Yes. It's a reason to get outside, even just for a block.
Yeah.
It's, something to pour yourself into than just being in the grief all the time, right? So that's another thing. Like, we all do things that we, for distraction. We can't just be in the pain all the time, right? And so to have a dog and, being able to take that advice, even though I was incredibly reluctant, as you were, about going to the golf course.
Like, what the fuck?
And like you also just said, it's that's not the best advice for everybody.
Right.
Not everyone, it's go to the golf course and
not
you'll
everyone
find purpose, and not everyone get a dog.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's such an important and interesting conversation just to talk in different episodes too, that I'll be doing. What is some of that advice you got? Because it's so different. But also I think it plants a seed that there are things that we can do that give us purpose or meaning in the midst of maybe the hardest time of our whole entire lives.
Yeah.
And getting my dog was the best thing that I've ever done. And like you said, going to the golf course was one of the best things you ever did.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then everything, it gave me a little bit of momentum, right? Because then I, eventually made the decision to come up here. And then I got I got a job in treatment. And then I got another job in treatment. And then I made the incredibly hard decision to go back to school.
Yeah.
As in old age.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about it.
An older adult.
Yes, yes, exactly. I think I was 48 when I went back to school. And Claire, I just have to say this. I didn't even know what a Word document was.
Yeah.
I was a high school dropout, and I was never on computers. I didn't even know I had to call my niece, the one that got me the apartment. Thank you, Brianna. And she had to come over and show me how to set up a Word document and what a header and a footer was and how to do a citation. Like, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
But I did know this. I wanted to do something, and I wanted to do something that was going to bring me I wanted to be better.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's the right word, but I wanted to step to something bigger than what I was, if that makes sense at that moment.
I mean, in some ways it's kind of a cliche, but like, people talk about finding work that gives you purpose.
Yes.
And it's one of those things, again, similar to the grief advice, that does everyone need to have a job that gives them deep purpose? No. And for you and all the different decisions that you made in that decade, right, it was important for you. It was a value that you had to do something to, whether it's pay it forward or just work that felt more meaningful to you based on your lived experience.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Yeah. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I finished what I needed to in junior college. I had to take some credits, and then I I got my bachelor's and graduated top in my class, and then went on to get my master's. And all along, knowing that what I was doing was moving me in the direction that I knew I need to go in. Mm-hmm. And all through all of those very hard moments, again, in college with working, not making a lot of money, working full time, at one point doing an internship full time, going to school full time, and also maintaining a relationship. And then in my heart knowing that this is what I need to do. Yeah. And being an older student, there was a lot of things along the way that were challenging.
Yeah.
That maybe a younger person wouldn't go through. I'm not saying that younger people don't go through that, but for me, there were a lot of
different
challenges.
Learning curve.
Yeah. Memory, all that kind of stuff. But when I decided to go back to school, there were people that said, "You're crazy. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
You're too old. You're going to take on all that student loans." No way, right? And I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it no matter what. I am going to do it. And I mean, I was up sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning studying and writing papers and doing all the things, right? Mm-hmm. And I did it. And it was along the way, I also improved my career. I went into being a counselor in a residential treatment facility and did that job, and starting a grief group and hearing things like, "Oh, they can't work on their grief. They're going to relapse. You're going to dig up old feelings," right? And me being that voice of, "No, we have to work on our grief."
Yeah.
There's so many things that are said out there about grief. It's like, can you put it aside? No, you can't. Pull it out and let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. And being able to show up for people was so rewarding.
Yeah.
And I really feel like Tony he's in my spirit. He's in my heart. He lights that fire in my belly that gets me out of bed in the morning. Mm. He got me through like grad school.
Yeah.
And thank you. You were there all along for me, and I appreciate that.
In a very different way than Tony.
Yes,
was.
Yes, you were not the fire in my belly.
Just an encouraging friend.
Yeah. And thank you to my husband who stood by me and did all the cooking and cleaning so that I could focus on my studies, and to now be a licensed professional counselor and have private practice and work with people who have grief and understand it professionally, clinically as a therapist, but also have that personal experience with grief. I lost my mom 2.5 years ago. I think it was 2.5 years ago, right before I got married. And it was a completely different experience for me. I felt like I was able to sit with that grief differently and feel it, but also have a little bit more, coping skills to where it didn't completely destroy me. And then also be able to show up for my family members a little bit differently. My mom was at end of life. She was 88, 89, and was in a lot of pain, very similar to how my dad passed away. Mm-hmm. And I was able to be there for her. And we did a lot of repairing of our relationship through the last, couple years of her life. And there was a lot of forgiveness and a lot of, a lot of love. And so to be able to be there for my mom in a way that was very different.
Yeah. Well, you're also in sobriety.
Yes.
That's the difference too.
Yes.
Between when you lost your dad.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, to be more present with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt.
No, my gosh.
Right.
Not at all.
And I think the other thing that I feel really passionate about is that grief is like trauma, right? It stays in our body forever and it stays with us. It just changes and evolves. But it's also like trauma triggered by other losses. Yeah. And so when I lost my mom, that triggered, my grief.
Yeah.
That hadn't gone away, but it triggered it in a way that I was sitting with it differently. My husband's father also passed away that year. And I was very close to him and I loved him. I was going to ask him to walk me down the aisle, which he didn't get a chance to see. Died of COVID and I wasn't able to be there. But also that triggered a lot for me as well.
Of course.
So still having a lot of losses and still experiencing grief and still having it trigger, I don't want to say older grief, but grief that I've experienced in the past.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. The cumulative grief, which I think sometimes that term is used for like very close losses. But no, I think that it can be used in a much broader way of looking at it too, because I think in some ways grief builds on itself. Yeah. In the way that, like you said, we carry it in our body.
Absolutely.
Definitely comes up.
One thing that I experienced a lot through my journey was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Yeah. Because in my case, it did.
Yeah.
Right. And I felt like it did a lot. So I waited for it and it happened. And so feeling like the other shoe's going to drop was kind of a theme in my story that also kept me stuck a bit. And so when I stepped out of that and I started saying, okay, here I go, I'm going to step out, is the other shoe going to drop? And when it did drop, it's like, oh, shit, here we go. And I think that's another thing that's fairly common that a lot of people don't talk about is living with that thought of the other shoe is going to drop and, oh, no, what's going to happen? So I say that because even last night I was sitting with my husband and we were talking about grief and talking about loss. And I said, yeah, I'm dying before you. I know this sounds terrible.
No, it's so relatable. I think people who've had significant loss, there's that very both physically and metaphorically like morbid lens of the world. So nope, I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm dying before you. And he goes, no, I'm dying before you. And I go, okay, we have to figure out how to die together because I can't even imagine, what that would feel like if it were to happen. And no, I'm not saying I obsess about it because I don't.
Yeah.
But we were watching this movie and the person lost their partner and they were completely devastated. And I just went, oh my gosh. Like even moments like that kind of trigger that. I can't imagine this happening to me again.
Yeah. My similar morbid conversation that I have, and I apologize, it's not the one that I have with my partner. He hears me say it, though. I talk to my dog about it. I talk to my dog and I say, you are not allowed to die before I die, which is not likely because she's getting old.
Yeah.
And even darker, I kind of joke. I was like, I'm going with you. Like, my dog she's my grief dog. She's everything to me. And I honestly, I can't imagine not having her. And I say those words to her very often.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the night my sister died, the night that I got the call that my sister died, one of the first things that came out of my mouth, besides what probably in retrospect was like inhuman screams, right? What you described when you got the diagnosis for Tony. One of the first things that came out after that was looking at my dog and saying, you are not allowed to die anytime soon because
I need you.
Yeah. And like you were my grief dog, thought you were going to be my mom grief dog, had no idea that you now have to be my sister grief dog.
Yeah.
And you better be around for a lot longer.
Yeah. Yeah. It just dawned on me. Is my husband my grief partner?
Is Ron your grief dog?
Yeah. Is Ron? Yeah. Because,
He does have golden retriever vibes. He definitely is kind of golden retriever like.
Yeah, well, he is the dog whisperer, and
kind of.
Yeah, we went through 2 deaths, with our
Yeah.
dogs, and we have 2, we have 2 more dogs, and his sister died by suicide, and accidental suicide, I should say. And, then his dad. So we've had a lot of loss together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was that person for me. And it just dawned on me. I call him my grief dog.
Yeah, you can tell him that we came up with that today.
Yeah. He will love that, by the way.
I know he will. That's amazing.
Yeah. So life today it's so much different. And in so many ways, it's beyond my wildest dreams. I never thought that I would be, 20 years ago when I lost my son, I never thought that I would be where I'm at today. Not in a million years. And even 15 years ago when I moved to Portland, I never thought I'd be where I am today. And even 5 years ago, right? But I kept doing, I kept stepping in out of the comfort zone. And for me, that's what worked, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that works for everybody.
Yeah.
But for me, that's what worked. And today, being able to look at life as a gift, and be able to say, I am who I am today because of what I've been through. That is absolutely true. I am not a victim of cancer and the death of my child. I am a survivor. I did hear that the word survivor makes it seem like I was a victim. And was I a victim? And I'm going to say I was a victim at that point. And I lived my life back then like I was a victim. And today, though, I really stand in that space of I'm a survivor. And what I went through, I'm able to look at life in a way that through a different lens. And I think that's why I'm more compassionate. I feel like I feel feelings deeper, and I'm really grateful for that. Again, that's not everybody's story.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important to clarify that piece, right? Because I think sometimes, and this is true for me too, when people hear grief and loss and death combined with the concept of gratitude, I think sometimes what people hear is at some point you're going to be grateful for the loss that you had, right? And being really clear, that's not what you're saying.
No,
right?
That's bullshit.
It is absolutely bullshit, right? Yeah. And what you're saying is because of the experiences and the trauma and the losses that you've had, you, as you were just saying, your life looks a lot different, and you have gratitude with where your life is at now and the changes that you've gone through. And you said feeling as deeply as you can now, which allows you to be a really amazing therapist and hold space for other people. That's what the gratitude's for. And I'm sure you would still pick any day, right, to still have Tony here.
100%.
I think that's such an important distinction in this too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I think when I was going through this process, of changing how I was living my life, and I began to feel pleasure, I did have those feelings of, I don't deserve this. I shouldn't love because I loved my son. He's not here, and that's my love. My heart doesn't have space for anyone else or anything else. And, when I met my friend, when I met my husband, when I met when I met you, and started to feel feelings of I'm ready to have a connection, whatever that might be, and allow myself to love again. Yeah.
That we can hold grief and pain and trauma and love and connection at the same time, right? We don't have to choose one or the other, and one doesn't discount the other.
It is interesting, and I want to note this, is that the people that I choose to have in my life today are usually people that also feel deeply and want to have a deep connection. And so that was another thing that I feel like has changed for me. I don't have like 100 or, you see like
surface acquaintances.
Yeah. Like I'm going to go out to lunch with all my girlfriends from high school. I don't have that. But what I do have are some really deep, meaningful relationships with some really beautiful people.
Yeah. Same.
And that's okay.
So with wrapping up, I am curious, and I'm sure in some way, because we've covered a lot, and maybe it's just going to be a revisiting at the end, but like, what are one or two things that you wish people knew about grief and loss? If you could share a message out there.
Back then, or where I'm at today?
Ooh, let's hear them both.
Okay. Back then, what I wished people would have known is that I was a grieving mother, right? And that's where I needed to be, is right there in my grief, and not try to fix it or change it or numb it. Also, I think back then, I wish somebody would have stepped in and offered a different kind of help earlier on. Yeah. That being said, everything I went through got me to where I'm at today. So I want to be careful with wishing that.
Yeah. I do think...
I think back then I would have wanted that.
And you said that, right? You said no one ever brought up like getting a therapist. I think that is still incredibly important advice or a perspective that you have of people listening to this, that early interventions or help, that there's nothing shameful about getting a therapist and having someone to talk to during really hard times. And so I think even though you are who you are today, still really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think now what I want people to know about my personal grief, or grief in general, I guess, is that healing can happen. And it's also a long process that you have to go through. You can't go over it. You can't go around it. You can't go under it. You have to go through it. And, for me, my life looks a certain way, and it's individual. It's individualized. What my life looks like isn't going to be what somebody else's life looks like. And to embrace whatever it is that you have in your life, or what your journey may be. There's no wrong or right way to grieve. It's messy. It's messy.
Yeah.
It's very messy. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can be messy. Like, my hair, I'm sure, was messy. I'm sure I was not put together well. I mean, you can be messy on the outside, but it's also messy on the inside.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Wherever you're at is okay.
Yeah.
Wherever.
I love that.
Yeah.
Carol, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for all your vulnerability and the different components and experiences that you've had through different losses. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you.
So that's all on this special 2-part episode of Nothing Happens for a Reason. Thanks for joining me and listening in. But don't go anywhere just yet, because I've got a little surprise for you. Instead of waiting until next week, I've already dropped a 3rd episode. I was just too excited for you all to hear it, and hopefully start feeling a little less alone. Episode 3 is available for streaming right now. Just click next to keep listening. And please consider subscribing and leaving a review. It truly helps others find our community. And if you know someone who might find solace or understanding here, whether they're experiencing grief or seeking to better understand grief, please share this podcast with them. I appreciate your support deeply.